West Ham Network channel. My name is Harry, and in this video I'll be talking about potential strikers West Ham could look to bring in to rival Antonio. Now, it's obvious that Moyes wants Antonio to be the main man up top next season, but with the amount of games we are set to play, it's clear to see we need a bit of competition up front. Let's not forget we will be in 4 competitions this year for the second year in a row, so it's vital to get another body in. But what sort of striker does Moyes ideally like? Well, basically someone like Antonio. So let's have a look at what skills and traits Antonio has before we can begin to look at and see if any other potential strikers we are linked with will suit our style of play. Now, Mikel Antonio is a bit of an unorthodox striker. He seems to score the opportunities no one expects him to, but then sometimes miss absolute sitters. However, it is clear to see why Moyes loves him. He absolutely runs himself into the ground for West Ham, and the way Moyes sets up the striker position is probably the hardest on the pitch. This is probably down to, as most of the time, they are left up there by themselves and they're having to fight for the ball against the 2 centre-backs from the other team. Antonio's mixture of hold-up play and pace that allows him to run in behind is a nightmare for any defender. This is why finding a replacement is very hard, as normally strikers are either a target man, like a Chris Wood for example, or they like to run in behind, for example a Jamie Vardy-esque player. Although not technically gifted, Antonio has the best of both worlds. If we look at Antonio's heat map for this season, he seems to favour sometimes drifting out onto the left flank. Now, this could mean he has drifted out wide to get more involved in the game, or he's targeting one of the defensive players by trying to pull him out of position, or in general he's just knackered, so he's out wide to take a breather. Over the course of this season, Mikel Antonio has underperformed his XG, which means he should have scored more goals than he actually did. However, he overperformed with his expected assists, which means he assisted more than he should have. This shows the importance of Antonio within the system, not just as a goal threat, but also as a creator. Now moving on to the first potential striker West Ham should look to sign. That is of course Youssef Nesyri. Youssef Nesyri is a 25-year-old Moroccan forward who plays for Sevilla. Now, West Ham should know all about Nesyri as we played him in the knockouts of our Europa League campaign. And personally, watching the game live at the stadium, I thought he was quite disappointing, but of course we are all allowed off nights. However, it hasn't just seemed to be an off night for Nesyri, but an off season. After only scoring 5 goals and producing 1 assist in the league all season, it's been a disappointing campaign for the Moroccan international. In the 2020-21 season last year, he produced a mammoth 18 goals scored in his best season tally to date. Of course, another positive for Nesyri is that he comes with European pedigree, playing previously in the Champions League and of course having Europa League experience. If West Ham did go through with this sign, we would of course be adding another Moroccan into the squad, with West Ham already acquiring the signature of his fellow countryman, Nesyri. However, going off playstyle and watching his movements off the ball, Youssef Nesyri isn't exactly a direct Mikel Antonio replacement. I mean, as a fact, their playstyles are very different. You will not see Nesyri drifting out to either flank. He will either want to be in around the box where he's the most dangerous. Although I'm sure he will do his best, he also isn't going to be nowhere near as good as Antonio in running behind. If you look at Sevilla and how they play, they are a much more possession heavy side than West Ham are, bolstering near enough a 60% possession rate throughout the whole of the season in the Liga. Slightly different to West Ham, who are more counter-attacking, but if we look in depth we can see each season our possession percentage actually increases. So does this mean a change of system for Moyes next season? I guess we will wait and see. So for me, at the moment, and in the style we have seen Moyes use in previous season, Youssef Nesyri wouldn't be as impactful as a Mikel Antonio for the side. So for the price of around 30 million, it could be a big gamble. The second option on the potential striker list is Armando Broja. Now, Armando Broja is a 20-year-old Albanian forward who plays for Chelsea. However, he is not actually best known for his time at Chelsea, as he has been on loan since coming through their youth academy, most recently at Southampton, where he has impressed for parts of the season. West Ham fans should have not so very fond memories of him when he scored against us in the 95th minute in a 3-1 loss in the FA Cup against Southampton. When it comes to looking at his statistics for the previous season, it doesn't look outstanding on paper, does it? With only 6 goals and 32 appearances for the Saints and 0 assists, it doesn't look great for Armando Broja. However, this sort of player at only 20 years old would look to come in at West Ham to develop and would allow Moyes to mould him into his perfect striker. Of course, Southampton have had a poor season as well, so that obviously hasn't helped in Broja's goal scoring, but he also hasn't helped himself either in certain situations. For me, one of his biggest areas he needs to improve on is his creativity. I know that when you think of a striker, you predominantly think how many goals has he scored, but nowadays the striker position is more than just scoring. For someone who's around 6'2" and is physically strong, it is important to be able to hold up the ball and feed other players into the game. As stated, he is only 20 years old. If he is Moyes' first choice for the striker position, he will definitely need some work. If we are going off playstyle and watching his movements off the ball, however, you can definitely see why Moyes fancies him. If you look at his season heat map, you can see he doesn't mind coming out onto the flanks to pick up the ball, which is very similar to what Antonio does. He also looks to chase after the ball and running behind, as well as being physical enough to hold up the ball when asked also. He reminds me slightly of Marko Arnautovic in terms of his build and also when he's on the ball. Of course, I'm not comparing the two, as one was in their prime while Broja is still pretty raw due to his age. So for me, this signing would make a lot of sense. It's clear to see the resemblances between Broja and Antonio. So when Moyes is looking for a striker exactly like Antonio, at the moment Broja seems to be the best option. And for someone who's 11 years younger than Antonio, the sky's his limit, if the price is right of course. The third and final potential striker on this list is Kalajdzic. Sasa, as we will call him, not to be confused with West Ham's past player Simone Zaza, is a 24-year-old Austrian forward who plays in the Bundesliga for VfB Stuttgart. The first thing you will notice when first watching Sasa will be the size of the bloke. If you met him in the street, you would think he's a basketball player, not a footballer. He towers over everyone else on the pitch, standing at 6'6", so from corners he is Creswell's wet dream. According to sources coming out of Germany, multiple journalists are already suggesting that a deal for Sasa is already completed, and his move to West Ham is awaiting, so let's look at some of his statistics. Sasa has played 15 games this season, contributing 6 goals and 1 assist. Once again, his stats on paper don't look the best. His season has been riddled with some injuries however, so just like Nesyri, we cannot judge him on just one season. Very much like Nesyri, Sasa had an outstanding season in the 2020-21 campaign, netting 16 goals and producing 5 assists within 33 games. Another interesting statistic to look at would be the fact that he's in the top 94 percentile of aerials won per 90 minutes. Now, although I'm pretty sure most of us would expect him to be lethal in the air, it is an interesting statistic. Now of course, the big question is, are we going to sign the Austrian Andy Carroll? Well, if I'm being perfectly honest, I can't sit here and exactly tell you what he's like game to game, as I did not watch Stuttgart enough to give an accurate opinion on him during a game. However, after looking at him on YouTube, apart from being a conventional target man, he does seem to have something a bit about him. For someone who's 6'6", his movement doesn't seem to be that bad. Now I'm not saying he's going to run the channels like Antonio does and provide a threat from in behind, but he does provide a vocal point for the attack, and in my opinion would benefit with someone like Antonio playing next to him to chase the flick-ons. It also tells us how good of a player he is when the likes of Manchester United and Bayern Munich are looking at him to replace the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo and Lewandowski. So for me, this would be an interesting signing. I can't quite put my finger on it whether or not it will work or wouldn't, but I'm pretty sure I'll speak for most of West Ham fans when I say it'd be interesting to see someone who is 6'6" running around the pitch in the London Stadium, especially with how deadly we are at set pieces. So guys, after comparing all 3 potential strikers, in my opinion the best option out of the 3 would be Armando Broja. This is mainly due to the subtle similarities between him and Mikel Antonio. Let me know in the comments what you guys think and what the best option would be for us. Alternatively, let me know if there's any other strikers we are linked with that you think would be a better option. Come back next week to see part 2, and of course if you enjoyed the video don't forget to hit the like button and also subscribe. See you in the next one.
It's like a family tree, part of you and part of me. And if we should tell